Thank you so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz.
And I am entrepreneur Breezy Gipson.
And, we're delighted to be here and do what we do. We got another great show lined up for you. Of course, as Women's History Month winds down, we're still celebrating here. And we're going to highlight some of our chats with some of the incredible women that have been on our show. And so today we're highlighting our chats with Prissy, with Monique Nicole, and Adrienne. So, we got that. We've got music industry news for you. And of course, beats by yours truly sprinkled in.
All right. Hey, man, let's get it.
All right, let's go.
oh yeah. You know, I am just hyped today. I'm always hyped, but I'm extra hyped today because our guest is a young lady who is making a trail in so many different directions. Okay, and so without any further ado, we're going to let her tell her story. We're not stealing any of her thunder. The one and only, hailing out of North Carolina, the North Cackalack, the one and only Prissy. Prissy, how you doing today?
I am doing fine. I feel amazing being able to talk to you guys. Tell my story.
Okay.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. Glad to have you. Okay, so now, you know, share a little bit about who you are, and so our listeners who haven't become familiar with you can become familiar with you.
Okay, my name is Prissy, and I'm from North Carolina, small town in North Carolina called Tarboro. I'm a small business owner. I do quite a few things. I'm in love with music and classic cars. I'm a natural hairstylist and an auto body tech. I'm also a lowrider. I like to do things totally different from, I guess, the norm. I like to go into the male-dominated industries and just be me. I just love singing. I love singing. That has gotten me so far. I do have a business name, Prissy Painters Inc., INK LLC, and that was established in June of 2017. This is where hair and the car world collide. That's why I call it Prissy Painters Inc., because of my history with hair and cars. I'm an avid classic car lover. Mainly what I do is I like to help people. I love to make sure people are okay, whether it's physically, mentally, or spiritually. And with my products, my hair products, it helps with a lot of people with cancer and other autoimmune diseases. I have had the opportunity to work in the cancer center here in Tarboro, where the actual cancer physician, they approved my hair oils, which is one of my main products in my product line of Prissy's Inc. They approved my hair oil for cancer patients. I'm still on the journey, hoping to connect with people so I can get this product out here and push it further. Also, with my music, it's a healing thing for me. It's therapy for me, given that I've gone through quite a few things over my short period of lifetime of 42 years. Going through divorce, going through, being in a wheelchair. I had to walk through my own process of my hair falling out, different types of things. And I just want to be an encouragement and a help to others.
Wow. You know what? You have said quite a mouthful there. And I mean, we can go in so many different directions just based on your opening introduction and description of yourself. Okay. Now, one of the things that you said that caught my attention is that you say you like helping people. And that is just jumping out. That's obvious. Okay. So, you know, I mean, people need help in many different directions. And so now what led you in that facet of your life?
That part of my life, I think just going through sicknesses, different illnesses, being in a wheelchair, trying to figure out how can I restore my hair? Because I know being a woman, your hair is everything. And just going through that emotional journey alone of just not knowing what's going on with my body, I had to go take an approach of holistic medications, learning how to eat differently, learning how to find different herbal medications to beat it, because the doctors told me I was in a wheelchair for a year and I was in diapers and they didn't know what was going on with me. So at first they thought it was lupus, then it went into, well, maybe it's just fibromyalgia. So that process in itself, I had to learn how to live all over again. They told me I wasn't able to have children. I have 3. They told me I wasn't able physically because of later on in the years that what my body had gone through, I wouldn't be able to do auto body. So it's not what people tell you that you can't do. I'm a firm believer in God, and that with him, all things are possible. And obviously my life speaks that. Just going through divorce, going through abusive situations, you can make it. You can make it. I want my message every day is to look at people, even if they don't know my name, if they just be around me, just to have an upbeat attitude, and just to allow people to see that it's possible. It is possible. Even if they can hear my music, that it will be such a healing release during that sound that it will bring forth a hope. I'm sorry. I may have gotten off track, but
that's okay. That's okay.
Bring hope for people.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. Okay. Achickwitbeatz, man. Come on, man. That's a heck of an opening. That's
Seriously.
A double.
Yeah. A lot of times people kind of just focus more on the talent side of it. We talk to a lot of artists and, well, what do you want people to get from you? But the fact that that, like you're actually offering and providing like healing through singing, that's a really, really, really powerful thing. So, hats off to you for, already having your own stuff that you were dealing with, but still to be able to reach out and help other people. Like a lot of times it's easy to kind of just withdraw into yourself. But I just think the fact that, you just want to share positivity and brighten other people's day is just a really, really beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you dropped the fibromyalgia word in there. Okay, so we don't want that to just slide by for those who don't understand just the significance of that. So, can you take just a few seconds to explain to the listeners just what that means?
Yes. Fibromyalgia, practically what it does, it mimics, the last time I read about it, it mimics at least 13 major diseases, and it affects your nerves and your muscles. And your memory. I experienced the severe memory loss. I experienced the nerve issues, the nerve pains, the muscle part. You literally have what I've experienced, muscle spasms from your neck all the way down to your toes. You're on a scale of 10 or more. I've had so much excruciating pain in my past that when I was in labor with my son, my doctor was like, "Why didn't you come sooner?" I'm like, "Sir, I couldn't feel it." So it affects you on so many different aspects. It changes your life. It affects the people around you. It is very debilitating. If you don't, I'm going to say you really have a strong will. And I'm a strong will person. But I think my worst has already happened. But it changes your life, even down to your thinking. It can cause depression. Been there, done that. It got to a point where I couldn't retain information. Going through, my first spouse had PTSD due to being in the war in Iraq, and how I coped, I have no clue. I began forgetting everything. I had to write everything down. I didn't think I could go through school, and I made it through school. It was just determination, and I know it was God. So, like I said, to bring forth healing for other people, to help people that have gone through some of the things that I have experienced, that is like something major for me. But fibromyalgia, it is, wow. It's something to deal with.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am thrilled, excited. We're delighted that we have the one, the only Monique Nicole in the virtual building with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. So, if you could just give a little bit of background for everybody out there listening, who is Monique Nicole? Tell us a little bit about, what you've been doing and when you discovered that you needed music to be a part of your life and all that good stuff.
Oh wow. I've been singing since I could pretty much talk. And I went into the music world probably about professionally as a singer. 2015 is when I dropped my first single. But previous to that, I was doing artist management and, I owned a few studios and I worked in a supporting role, helping other artists, achieve their dreams. But in 2015, I decided to invest in myself. So that's when I had dropped my first single, Say Yes. And, I got pretty lucky and was blessed that the single did really well here in the States and abroad. And that's where it pretty much began for me as a solo artist.
And see, now
Yeah,
you know that when you help other people achieve what they're trying to achieve, it always comes back and opens doors for you. So I'm just elated to hear what you just said in your opening statement.
Oh, thank you. I had a passion to help others, and I had a passion to also, stay connected to the music business. And, my parents, they didn't really support being an artist per se. They felt that music was more of a hobby than a profession.
Mm-hmm.
So, I listened pretty much, and, I went to school. I wound up, having a career in law enforcement, which I just retired from in April. And, while being able to satisfy, what I needed as far as being within the industry in those capacities. But I'm happy that, at some point I did push forward and, be able to, to live my dream a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, I should say. So, yeah. So it's been going well. For the most part, you got your peaks and valleys, because the business is not easy. It's not, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And, but it keeps going up. So we're going in the right direction, which is great.
Yeah, that's what's up. And, what you were saying about what your parents said about it not, being for a career, but maybe a hobby. You're not alone. There are a lot of people who've experienced that. It's always like, oh, well, make sure you have something to fall back on. But it's really cool that you found a way to still be involved in it, even if you weren't practicing your artistry as it was, but to be able to help others, like you had mentioned, that's really cool. So, since you had that experience, how much of that have you been able to use to help you yourself as an artist? Like, how did that kind of shape how you move within the industry now?
Well, it helped me enormously because, you read in contrast, you're doing this, you're doing that a lot. You're doing a lot in the management capacity. So, I was managing myself up until about 2 years ago. So, it allowed me to have the knowledge base to be able to navigate, throughout the industry, not just as an artist, but also as a representative of myself. So, knowledge is power always. So it definitely did help. And, I'm independent. I have my own label. And I've had labels previously with other artists signed to me. So I'm signed to myself. now currently. So it helps a lot. It definitely helps. You should know the business that you're within, because music is a business. And if you don't know the business side, you're gonna have a problem.
Well said. Well said. When you say, Breezy?
Oh yes, oh yeah. But see now, you have a very calm and calming demeanor. Okay, right, and so which leads you to come across as a very influential person in the industry. Okay, and so which I give you kudos for that. And so you've got advantages that others don't have, which is a good thing. So I'm just happy to sit back and absorb you and what you're saying and the way you're saying it today.
Oh wow, thank you.
Yeah. Good stuff. So now you were raised in Brooklyn, right?
Yes. Born and raised in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Can I yell at the side, Brooklyn?
Of course, because you already know Brooklyn is always in the house.
Yeah. So yeah, we gotta know about how that's shaped you musically as well.
Yes. Well, Brooklyn, it's a melting pot. And, coming from parents that are, like, my father was from down south, my mother's from the Caribbean, and living in Brooklyn, and it's just multicultural. So you would hear a lot of those influences come out in my music. And I think it was like a huge benefit to me being able to grow up in Brooklyn, through a great era, few great musical eras, like I have a mixtape where, that was produced by my brother, which had a whole bunch of like guest DJs on it. And it was called Straight from the Crates. And, that came up from being in Brooklyn, going to these block parties, and MCs coming through and rocking the mic. But instead of that, I was singing on different tracks that they were cutting up or whatever. So that was just like such a dope era to live through, It's just, you had that. Then you had, of course, the reggae. You had soca. You had Eastern Parkway. That was popping off every Labor Day. I didn't live too far from there. So I had so much around me that has affected me and my artistry. So I'm thankful that I grew up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a huge part of me that would never leave. It's like once from Brooklyn, always from Brooklyn. So it's like no matter where I go, that's where I represent. And people know as soon as you open your mouth anyway, because I have an accent. Like I'm here in the South, I'm out in I'm north of Atlanta. And no matter where I go, they're like, "Oh, from New York. You from New York?" It's like, yeah, I'm from New York. Like I can't hide it. It's just not gonna change, So yeah, it's a huge part of who I am for sure.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're very excited to say we have the phenomenally talented, just more than a triple threat, I believe. She's got a lot of stuff going, and just a delightful personality, delightful talent. The one, the only Adrienne Ralph. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and even better after hearing you describe me that way.
Yes, well, just so the audience knows, we connected on Instagram. I always love your posts, your videos, and just really positive and upbeat. And like I said, to have that shining personality and talent is just, really magnetic. So if you could just kind of let everybody know who you are, what you do, and what first drew you to music.
Okay, well, I'm Adrienne Ralph, and I'm actually, right now I live in Southern California with my husband and family, but I'm originally from Canada. So I'm from like the west coast of Canada. And I write songs and I sing. That's mainly what I do right now, although I also vocal coach and I have a fashion resale business too. And I'm also an artist. So like, yeah, there's a few things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so first, what drew me to music? My family's really like growing up, they put like a huge importance on like creativity, and like my parents had me in like choirs and music lessons from when I was really young. So I don't know, I think maybe they just put me in because they liked music, and then they realized like, oh, she actually is pretty good at this. So they like I was able to do like piano lessons and did a lot of like musical theater and dance, that kind of thing growing up. But yeah, I would say like I love all forms of creativity and self-expression, but the one that has kind of like, I guess the one that I feel comes most naturally to me is singing and songwriting. So yeah.
So yeah, you just went through a whole gamut of a lot of things. Yeah. And so, you mentioned that that's kind of what resonates with you for self-expression. Let's see, not what age, but how long ago would you say that it was when you realized out of all these things that you could do, these two things were your favorite? What was that moment like for you?
Oh, let's see. I think I was probably about 15 or 16. And I was really like, before, I always sang and did music, but I was more into dance, and I really wanted to be a professional dancer when I was younger. And I think like, I don't know if you know a lot about like the dance world, but they're really specific about like body type. And like basically if you don't have a certain body type, they're like, sorry, you're just not cut out for it. I did not have this body type. So I kind of like reached a point when I was in my mid-teens where I was like, I really don't think this is going to happen. And I had started a group with my sister and a friend. Like we just did a cappella songs, and we had started to write our own music, and we'd started to kind of like get gigs at little festivals and stuff in our area. And so it was almost like the dance was like tapering off, and then I kind of was like, oh, there's this other thing that's happening, and like actually I think I'm like cut out for this. So yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So yeah. And I know exactly what you mean. I was in 6th grade when I realized that wasn't going to happen for me. I was taking a jazz class and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working. But yeah, so like to be able to switch gears like that and, find something that you're passionate about as well, that you're really good at is a blessing. So, kudos to you for being able to shift gears and, not stay caught up on that that realization, if you will. It's kind of sad how unforgiving that world is, as far as the varieties of, body types, because I'm definitely not traditional either. So, yeah. So I know Breezy's probably burning to ask you a question. I'll go ahead and let you chime in.
Yeah, my input, I relate directly to the parents shipping you off into piano lessons or so on and so forth. I think that it works wonders for a young person as far as making them more well-rounded, giving them exposure to things that they hadn't seen before or thought of before. And, those different notes of the scale, in my opinion, it just expands a young person's brain. It expands their mind. And so the trickle down from that is, once they get into the teens or the early adults or even the later ages, they can fall back and find abilities or capabilities to make reaches that some of the other children that when they didn't have that in the beginning, they can't do that. Okay, so kudos to you. I'm one of those people who, and just like Achickwitbeatz was saying, we're really in kind of rare air, having had that kind of background. So yeah, kudos to you for that. And so we directly relate.
Yeah, it's for sure. Like, I remember looking back and like my parents were like pretty strict about it. They're like, if we're paying for piano lessons, you have to practice. Me at the piano and be like, okay, practice, we're watching you, we're making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And like as a kid I was like, oh, I hate this. But like now as an adult I'm like, oh, I'm so glad they did it, because really like you were saying, there's nothing like it for just giving you that like musical foundation and like being able to like think in that way, like musically. And yeah, it's like a whole different language, isn't it?
Right. Because you can take all of those recitals and so on and so forth that happened years and years ago. There was a crowd, whether the crowd was 5 people or 55 people. It started ingraining that type of exposure into you. So it's nothing like right now coming across a teenager or someone that's a young adult and ask them to even make a speech, just a speech. And once they find out they're going to be in front of a big crowd, sometimes they freeze up.
Yeah.
So with us having that exposure, being fortunate to have that, that's something that it doesn't happen to us. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah. So kudos to you again for all you're doing.
Yes. And so you mentioned the songwriting, and when you get in your bag, like what do you do to kind of draw for inspiration, whenever you have a session?
Well, I work like from the top line angle. So sometimes like I have a group of producers that I work with that send me tracks, and then I write the song to the track. So I like on my phone, I have on my note-taking app, I kind of keep a list of like when I think of like, oh, that would be a good title for a song, or like that's a really cool line, or that's an interesting way of saying that, I'll just note it down. So when I get a track, I'll listen to it and be like, okay, what is it? What's the feel of it? Like, is it kind of angry? Is it sad? Is it happy and light and upbeat? And then from there, I'll kind of look at my little stash of of notes and ideas and be like, oh, this would fit with how this feels. Or sometimes I'll even just like turn it on and then just start like scat singing or non-verbal, like improvising over top. And then from there, sometimes words will come and I'll be like, okay, that's where it's going. And but I would say like the other way where I start just from nothing, it's usually because I have something that I want to say. So I feel like that's harder because like I have to be like, okay, how do I want to say this? Do I want to say this? Like what word patterns do I want to have, or rhythms, or like what feel do I want it to have? Where do I want it to go? Whereas like sometimes like if you have a track already, you know kind of where it's going. But when there's nothing, it's like it's really cool because you have total freedom, but then sometimes it's like I don't even know where to go with this. It could go anywhere. So yeah, I would say yeah, so that's usually how, like the two ways that I would approach writing a song.
I'd like to begin with a fact. Whether in a small town like McAllen in the Rio Grande, or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles, it is business. Big business.
All right, and we're back with music industry news. First off, Matthew Knowles has been making some moves. So he's joined the teaching class at London College of Creative Media. He sold his Music World Entertainment Group to APX Capital, and he's planning a King Richard style biopic as a part of a $275 million film and TV fund. So, yeah, I mean, moves are being made. The veteran music executive, author, and educator, he's joined as a visiting lecturer at the college, and that's supposed to be starting in almost immediately, but also starting in the new academic year, which takes place in September. The school is offering a fully funded scholarship in his name.
Whoa.
I know. And then,
Oh.
yeah. And then as a part of the TV and film fund, the first project is going to be the Matthew Knowles story, which will tell the story of how he helped his daughters become the global superstars that they are now. And also how he managed Destiny's Child, and of course, the solo careers of Beyonce and Solange, Michelle Williams, and Kelly Rowland. So he's made some major moves in the past, and now more of this is going to come to light. The college says that they're really, really excited to have him on as a visiting lecturer, and of course, the scholarship is proof of that there. And I'd love to check out that movie, the Matthew Knowles story. I'd love to see what kind of details, kind of went into what he's done, because, to deny the impact that Beyonce has had on the music world would be insane.
Well, I mean, that's another case, another source of showcasing the rags to riches deal. When you get an idea, okay, and you focus on that idea, and you become very entrenched, involved with that idea, and you run across people, you don't know what you're doing, blah blah blah. What's he doing that for? It's not going to get anything out of it, and so forth. You got to have that stick-to-itiveness. And hey, so he did. There are other folks that in our world that we live in that are the same way. And so, hey, salute to him, because he put the labor in, and hey, we see what happened.
Right. This serves as a great inspiration, because who knows, there could be someday that, one of our listeners is being able to tell their own story like that in the same way. So yeah, if you're out there, you're doing the music thing, rock on, keep going, don't give up.
Right. There'll be naysayers. Hey, act like you don't even hear them.
Right.
Hey, just march to your own beat, and you can do it.
Or in a Achickwitbeatz beat. Shameless plug right there.
Hey.
All right, and Hi-Fi closed an 8-figure funding round with backing from Quincy Jones, Gordon Capshaw, Diplo, and many more industry bigwigs. So the business and financial management platform calls itself a financial rights organization, and they're building innovative products and services that work to connect them to financially empower the creator class. I said, whoa, what a statement there. So, creatives definitely need somebody looking out for them. And so it sounds like it'll be a good thing. The value of the funding round hasn't been disclosed, but they think that it is somewhere around the 8-figure step. So, yeah, we'll see what comes of that. I'm hoping good things. They kind of launched in 2020, but we're still waiting to see everything that they bring forth coming forward in the next coming years.
Okay. Keep rolling. Yeah.
All right. And Def Jam Recordings celebrates Women's History Month with the Women of Def Jam compilation. So, yeah, they're paying homage to the women on their roster with 24 tracks. And, it's actually available for purchase, but you can also check it out on like Spotify or whatever. So, yeah, just go ahead and give that a spin. We had reported a while ago that Spotify's algorithm had kind of given women the short end of the stick. So something like this, if you're still using Spotify, maybe give it a spin, kind of show Spotify that people like listening to women too. So yeah, heads up there.
Well, I do. I'm a staunch supporter of women in in music and business and life and so on and so forth. So hey, lend an ear and grab that and check it out and show them some support.
Yes. All right, and this story, man, I'll just say ahead of time, I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's kind of one of those things, hey, either this is brilliant or it's just really, really weird. And I'm not really sure where I stand with it just yet. But the world's largest music label, Universal Music Group, bought a Bored Ape NFT for $360,000. So, yeah. The NFT is named Manager Know It All, and that's Noet with, the little umlauts above the E. And so she's a female ape that looks pretty sad in the eyes. Not really sure what the deal is going on there. Blue dress, brown pilot helmet. And, they decided that she's going to serve as the manager for Kingship, which is the first metaverse music group that was created by 1022 back in November. So, this is the one we were telling you about. The band has, a mutant ape and 3 other bored apes. And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Like I said, it'll either be brilliant or we'll kind of look back at that scratching our heads later as well. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Wow. I mean, nothing surprises me, but hey, that is there. I mean, I just think, partake of it. Folks should partake of it and just see what they feel about it. And could be something that could be worthwhile. It could be something that may not be, but because let's check it out. Let's check it out.
Yeah. So
we may learn something from it.
Right, exactly. It might be one of those things we come back later and like, oh, remember when I said I didn't really know what I thought about this? But the group itself had kind of gotten a little bit of flack when it came out, saying, hey, this is pretty much like Gorillaz. But to see the group have different artists, that kind of makes sense. But why they'd actually have to generate a manager to exist in the space is quite interesting. So yeah, they might have some other things down the works, like maybe, I don't know, a graphic series or something like that where it might come into play. Right now, yeah, a bit of a head scratcher, but like I said, could be a brilliant move that'll make sense a little bit later.
Yeah, it could be one of those Mozart type of things where, like you're saying, people in the beginning, they can't understand, and, time goes by and all of a sudden, it's a magnet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we'll see. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with more music industry news right after this.
Okay.
back with more music industry news. Megan Thee Stallion's label is countersuing her over her Something for the Hotties claims. So Megan had filed a complaint last month saying that she was trying to get the Something for the Hotties actually recognized as an album to kind of get rid of her agreement with 1501. And so that album was released on the 29th of October. And yeah, the label had contacted her and said, hey, this doesn't count as an album. You still owe us one under, you know, the recording contract that we initially had. And so she made that complaint. And now the label has countersued her, saying that the compilation was of nothing but old, previously released material. It also says that she only appears on 29 minutes of the new recording. And according to her contract, that she must include at least 12 new master recordings of her studio performances of previously unreleased compositions in order to get credit for an album. However, her lawyers are saying, okay, well, 1501's only requirement was that the album had to be 45 minutes in length. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen the contract myself, but I'd be willing to bet that they probably were a little more specific than just 45 minutes in length. So we'll have to see how all this pans out. You know, just in case you're not aware, something that we've shared on the show a few times about how she had kind of started off with them and realized that, you know, her contract wasn't that great. And so by the time she had signed to the new management, that they were trying to get her out of that. And so, yeah, it's been kind of an interesting thing to see unfold, but it goes back to what we always say, you know, get your contracts checked out before you sign them. There's a lot of people that are looking to take advantage of your desire to create music and, you know, maybe just flashing a little bit of money in front of you in the first place to get you to sign something that, you know, doesn't really have your best interest at heart. Unfortunately, we hear those stories way more often than a label doing what it's supposed to do. So please, please, please keep that in mind. Doesn't matter if you become homies, friends, whatever the case may be, get those contracts checked out so that way, you know, you're not feeling bad about something that you committed to later.
I mean, you're right. I mean, we've always spoken about that. I can remember when I was even a little bitty musician, I was always hearing conversations about contracts, and I was always hearing folks saying, I hate my contract. I can't wait till I get out of this contract. And years later, still going on. I mean, that one phrase, inspect what you expect. So once, if you're getting ready to put your name on the dotted line, you better inspect what you expect. I mean, with 12 magnifying glasses, with 12 folks behind you reading, not just you. I mean, oh my God. Here we go.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can't really stress that enough because, you know, it seems like at least weekly I'm seeing stories where someone's unhappy, someone's complaining. But yeah, just be careful out there. Just assume that they don't have your best interest at heart. That's how you should be viewing the contract.
Remember, when money is about to change hands, and remember, when money does change hands, it can be a beautiful thing, yes, but it can be a not so beautiful thing, no. All depending on the characteristics of why the money is changing hands. So, oh my gosh.
There you go, right there, the why. That'll highlight everything. Yeah, if you inspect that, the why behind it, that's what's up. Yeah. All right. Yeah, because I mean, it's a big business out there, and this next story kind of covers that. The global recorded music revenues hit $25.9 billion last year, which was up 18.5% compared to the previous year. And so, key driver behind it was the paid subscription and streaming revenues, and so those went up by almost 22% compared to the previous year. up to 12.3 billion. So when they keep talking about the potential for growth in the streaming industry, one, they're talking about getting more into the emerging markets, but also including trying to convert free users over into paying users. So then we've also shared some new things that are coming forth. Companies who have closed the deal to be able to launch and have additional ways to pay artists. So something to be aware of. But that streaming subscription revenue is one of the main things that they're talking about when they're talking about the potential for growth in that sector.
Well, okay, think of it in terms of, we all know how real estate works in terms of you having some rental property. That person or persons, if they want to occupy that property, they've got to pay you on an ongoing basis, monthly income. Okay, that subscription. Okay, that's one of the easiest ways to you building an empire, having that monthly subscription of that income from that property. Okay, well, subscriptions can be about anything. Okay, and so my point is, to each one out there, if you can find a way to create a subscription service for what you got going on, where people pay you routinely over and over and over again, I wouldn't let that go by without investigating it for each one trying to do that, because, hey.
For sure. Yeah. And it seems like, with some of these that are emerging, I believe there are a couple that are trying to adapt the same thing that Bandcamp had, to where they could offer artists artists were able to offer subscriptions to fans. So by paying, a set amount of money, that entitles them to get your new releases and so forth. So, that's one way right there. You don't have to use Bandcamp necessarily in order to do that. You could even, enact something like that from your own website. So like he was saying, it's definitely something to make sure that you check into if you've got the content there to kind of back that up.
Right. Speaking of backing things up, we're gonna bring this show to a halt right here. And I'm gonna highlight 3 initials. And those initials, okay, that has to do with intelligence, but it has to do with demonstrating that you've gone through a rigorous program that improved your knowledge. And those initials are MBA. I'll say that one more time for the listeners. MBA. Okay, so when you hear this knowledge that's being shared with you by the one and only Achickwitbeatz, if you don't know, now you know that she's got those 3 initials behind her name.
Well, thank you.
Hey. Okay, so Achickwitbeatz is just out there just grabbing stuff just for the sake of grabbing it and then sharing it with you. There's a method to the madness, and it's about educating not just one, but all. And so this is a course not only in life, but it's a course in music, and it's a course in business, all wrapped into one. So
yes,
Achickwitbeatz might walk quietly, but she carries a big stick. So
well, thank you very much.
and I want everybody out there to be talking to their friends, saying, "Did you know Achickwitbeatz has an MBA?" No, I didn't know that. Well, now you know.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Final news story for the night is Warner Music Group has acquired the Middle East Qanawat Music. I hope I pronounced that the right way. But they say that the company will become its key local distributor, and it's responsible for a significant proportion of new releases in the Middle East and North Africa. and it has interest in brand partnerships and music publishing administration and the works. So they've kind of taken that under their wing. We're hearing a lot about these major music companies buying up some of the smaller ones in various markets. So, you know, that means that they can see the promise in it. And once again, as always, anytime, you know, we get these stories, I have to remind and make sure that everybody's aware of the importance of having your music everywhere that you possibly can. Don't just look at the big stuff that's popping over in the US, because there's so many other markets and opportunities for you. Because if you got the sound, all you got to do is just try to make sure that your music's everywhere where people can connect with it, because you never know where, you know, your next mega fan might come from. So think beyond our borders in the US. And shout out to all our listeners in all these various places that, you know, all these new stories are dropping in. And it's just good stuff happening. It's an exciting time to be witnessing all this.
Well, you know, you just shared like a 24K gold bullion bar just right now, right? Okay, so to the listeners, you better pay attention, because she's giving you some real life knowledge. Not just today, but every time we broadcast, that knowledge is in there. So hey, shouts out to Achickwitbeatz and Achickwitbeatz MBA.
Thank you very much. All right, we're gonna take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back before we head out.
Okay.
That's a wrap for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We thank you for rocking with us and joining us, and we hope that you'll come back to do it again next week.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there's plenty in store. So hey, we need you right here so you can absorb and also continue with that tradition that we talked about starting, where you inspect where what you expect came from you. Yeah.
All right. So till then, you know where to find us. Tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.